and play on 2nd and 10. That's his youth right there.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
Today, I'll be filming my Week 6 college football rankings video and reacting some to the new AP rankings. So I've still got Ohio State at 1 and Oregon at 2, and so does the AP. So Ohio State destroyed Minnesota 42-3. Their defense, it still looks like the best in the country. But this was the first time this season that their offense has done well against a Power 4 opponent. And Oregon didn't play last week. Uh, but while I'm still having no doubt that Ohio State and Oregon are top 5 teams. It does make me wonder now why Ohio State didn't beat Texas worse than they did, and why Oregon didn't beat Penn State worse than they did. Because at the time, I thought those were both great wins for them, because I thought Texas and Penn State were really good teams too. But even though Penn State's loss to UCLA was on the road, and Texas's loss to Florida was on the road, if Penn State and Texas were actually good teams, they would have found a way to win those games anyway. And it looks like when Oregon plays Indiana this week, that will be their toughest opponent up to this point. And it looks like when Ohio State plays Illinois this week, that will be their toughest opponent up to this point. And I've still got Texas Tech at 3 because they got another dominating win, this time coming against Houston, 35-11. The Big 12 championship appears to be Texas Tech's to lose right now. And number 4, I've got Miami. So the ACC championship seems to be Miami's to lose right now. But it was like that last year too, and they still blew it. So I still wouldn't be so sure that they're winning the ACC. But I've got Oklahoma still at number 5. They just played Kent State, but they won 44-0, like you would expect them to do. And I've still got Ole Miss at number 6 because they didn't play. And I've still got Texas A&M at number 7 because even though they had a slow start offensively against Mississippi State, they ended up dominating them. Their offensive line, I saw that so far this season has been the best in the country, and they ran for over 300 yards against Mississippi State. And their defensive struggles that they were having at the beginning of the season, they seem to have gotten fixed. So at this point, it would be very disappointing, I think, for Texas A&M if they didn't make it to the college football playoff. And I've got Alabama at 8. I moved them up because Florida State lost again. But this was a very impressive win for Alabama, because even though I have joked about Vanderbilt, this is a much better Vanderbilt team than they usually are. And Vanderbilt, I think, is a better team this year than the Vanderbilt team that beat Alabama last year. And since the Florida State game, Alabama's defense has been playing like I thought it would this season. Alabama should make it to the college football playoff if they don't get upset. And number 9, I've got Georgia. I moved them up also because Florida State lost again, and Alabama has a win over Georgia. But Georgia played Kentucky and did what you would expect them to do. They won 35 to 14. So I haven't changed my thoughts on Georgia from last week. And I've got Indiana at number 10. They didn't play, and LSU at 11. They didn't play either. And Missouri at 12. They didn't play either. But it will be known this week if Missouri's a real contender in the SEC because they're playing Alabama. And Tennessee, I've got at 13. They didn't play, and Georgia Tech at 14. They didn't play, and Michigan, I've got it at 15. So Michigan's offense didn't do near as well as I thought they would against Wisconsin, but their offense does appear to be good enough to where their defense might be able to carry them to the Big Ten championship game. And I moved Arizona State up to 16 because even though they didn't play, Mississippi State lost again. That loss to Mississippi State now is looking like it was a fluke. And I've got Utah right behind them at 17. And Utah didn't play this week either, but uh, Arizona State and Utah are going to play each other this week. So that will decide mm, which one of them should be ranked ahead of the other. And the winner of that game, I would say, has a very good chance of getting it in to the Big 12 championship game. And at number 18, Notre Dame. So Notre Dame has shown to be a very inconsistent team this season. So they played Boise State and they did blow them out 28 to 7. But their offense did not do very well. And until this game against Boise State, their offense had been playing great. And their defense, well, it did play well in this game and the week before against Arkansas, but against Texas A&M and M and Purdue, their defense was terrible. I think a team with these types of inconsistencies that already has 2 losses is unlikely to make it to the college football playoff. And number 19. I've got Virginia. I moved them down a lot because that win over Florida State now is not looking as good. But they did beat Louisville, who I've got ranked right behind them at 20. And Louisville, I still think is probably a good team. And I've got Cincinnati now ranked at 21 because they beat Iowa State. Who I still think is a actual top 25 team, but I've got ranked right behind them at 22. And then I've got Illinois at 23. So they beat Purdue 43 to 27, and their offense did fine, but their defense, I'm starting to question it because giving up 27 points to Purdue was actually pretty bad. And I've got TCU at 24. So they just played a horrible Colorado team that will be lucky to win more than 3 games. And they beat them only 35 to 21. But I have TCU ranked because watching them against Arizona State, even though they lost, they did look like a top 25 team. And in the preseason, I thought of TCU as a team that's probably right outside of the top 25. And I've got BYU ranked at 25, really just because I didn't know who else to put at the 25 spot. The AP has them at 18, which I think is too high because even though they're 5-0, they've still not really proven anything yet. But one thing's for sure is they've got one of the best running backs in the country, LJ Martin. I watched him against West Virginia, and he was amazing. And the AP has both Memphis and South Florida ranked. And while I do think that Memphis and South Florida, along with Tulane, are the best group of 5 teams, the best thing that Memphis has done so far is beat Arkansas by 1 point, and the best thing South Florida has done so far is beat Florida by 2 points. And while I know those are impressive wins for those teams because Memphis and South Florida are a group of 5 teams, Arkansas and Florida are nowhere close to even top 25 teams. They're not even in the top half of the Power Four, I don't think. Uh, that will be it with this video. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.